The economy.
There is a new bill, a payroll tax, that's being proposed, has been proposed, or at least unveiled today by socialist Sean Scott. It will be introduced once the legislative session begins in January. Sean Scott of Seattle, known for his socialist views, has garnered some support from some colleagues in the House, but some over on the Senate side, to push a capital gains tax, a payroll tax on the biggest businesses in the state. And of course, the ones that come to mind immediately are Amazon and Microsoft, Boeing, a lot of the healthcare companies. And he's effectively arguing the reason why he's promoting this particular payroll tax, almost identical to what you see in Seattle, which is responsible for Amazon moving so many jobs over to Bellevue and allowing other people to continue to work from home. He's blaming Donald Trump for this because I guess that's what you do. His argument is that because of the big, beautiful bill, there have been some federal spending cuts. We have to make up for the money somewhere. So this is his opportunity to do just that. He spoke with Como TV, and somewhat ironically, I suppose, he proved us right. Yesterday we said when Democrats promise that they're going to make some cuts to the budget, it almost always immediately is followed by, we did everything we could. There's nothing else we can cut. We don't know what else we can cut. What else do you want us to cut? If we cut any more, we're going to hurt vulnerable people. And that is basically his argument as to why he's pushing this payroll tax.
The Well Washington Fund is about investing in critical silos of public sector spending at the same time that the Trump administration is defunding them.
I can hear people already saying, didn't we just raise another $8 or $9 billion in taxes in Washington state?
Well, you know, there are some people who I do think look at state spending and maybe have a few qualms about that. And the question that I would ask them is, well, which areas would you prefer that we divest from? We spend most of our money in Washington state on public schools.
So that's one of those really disingenuous arguments because he's pretending that there's nothing that can be cut. He's also pretending that he actually wants to hear the answer to his question because he doesn't want to hear the answer to his question. He obviously doesn't care about the answer to that question because Republicans have put many proposals on the table on what it is they can cut. Chris Gildon, who is one of the Republicans alongside Nikki Torres, last legislative session put together a proposal that made plenty of cuts and investments without having to raise taxes. Sean Scott did not support a single one of those ideas. So when he says, oh, you know, I'd let you tell me, what would you like to cut? He says that as if he's open to cuts. He's not open to cuts. He's not. All he has to do is talk with some of his colleagues on the right. He chooses not to because it's not about cuts. To someone like Sean Scott, any socialist, all they want is government to be in charge of more aspects of our lives and take more of our money and redistribute it. That's the whole point of socialism, redistribution of wealth. And that's what Sean Scott is all about. Now, Chris Corey, friend of the show, Republican state representative from Yakima, points out the obvious of what's going to happen if they were to pursue this.
It's a bad idea, right? So we're going to end up removing our tax base. Like the people that are actually contributing to our economy are going to be leaving. And that's going to create bigger problems in the future.
Now, keep in mind, it was right before the holidays that Microsoft President Brad Smith gave an interview with Bloomberg in which he effectively said what Chris Corey just did, which is at some point you're pushing businesses out of Washington and we're warning. And it felt like to me this was the final warning from Brad Smith, who has clearly escalated his rhetoric and tone, pushing back against really bad tax proposals, anti-business tax proposals from Democrats. Now, Brad Smith is not a conservative, okay? He's not some hardcore Republican. But to be clear, he's speaking up publicly because he feels like he has to. They would prefer, big business and small, prefer to do all of their talking behind the scenes. They don't like doing it publicly. They really don't. They're doing it publicly because we're at that emergency level where in this Bloomberg interview, Brad Smith essentially said, we're just going to move jobs to places like Vancouver, not the Washington Vancouver, because who would move jobs to that Vancouver? No offense. I don't have to give me that look. It's a tech company, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're not
It wouldn't
going to go.
make any sense.
Really, it wouldn't make any. I don't know what you. I mean, Longview, move it there. That makes more sense. He's saying Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And so, what is Sean Scott's response to that level of criticism?
The Well Washington Fund, in part, bolsters spending on cash assistance programs. And the fact of the matter is that you see a much higher density of people who rely on supplemental nutrition assistance programs in Republican districts than you do in blue ones.
So his response was, I'm not going to respond directly to it. Did you hear a response to the criticisms?
No.
But isn't that how Como and Chris Daniels framed it to Sean Scott?
Yeah.
Here's what people are saying on the right, or just here's what people are saying. And his response was, well, I'm going to completely deflect and talk about something unrelated and pretend that this is about helping SNAP beneficiaries in Arkansas. Is that that's your, it's a stupid argument. It's a really dumb argument. Now, I don't know where this is going to go. This is an idea that has been previously pitched. In fact, it was pitched during this last legislative session. I think it was Rebecca Saldana, the state senator from Seattle, who was pursuing this, and it ended up dying, not going anywhere, because there wasn't really an appetite for, I guess, a jumpstart tax statewide after they had just, jacked the taxes up on all of us to historic numbers. Does that change in this legislative session, that they feel maybe a little bit more emboldened, empowered to pursue this? We already know that Democrats have gone on record telling us, we know this, they are going to increase taxes again. They are 100% going to. It is a guarantee. I'm so confident in that. I'm willing to put Jackson's job on the line. That's how confident I am. You don't seem nervous.
Oh, I'm not really, because it's going to happen.
Of all the times I put your job on the line, this seems like
It's
the
a
one
pretty-
you've got job security, man.
It's a lock.
It is 100%. Now, you're not going to get a raise, so you get that idea out of your head. But, I mean, that's the reality. And, we heard yesterday, we played yesterday, the Kevin Hassett, National Security Council leader for the Trump administration, essentially saying, yeah, come the new year, you're going to be getting a huge tax refund because of all the tax breaks. The way that was written goes into effect next year. That's what Democrats are coming after from all of us. So they're going to come after us. You don't think they're going to also go after business? They don't seem to care. And, in fairness to the radicals on the left, they've probably gotten together and said, look, we've heard business claiming that they're going to leave before. We've heard that before. They've never actually done it, not in any meaningful way. They're not going to do it. They're all talk. They're all talk. They're not going to leave. So they're just calling a bluff. I don't think there's a bluff here, though. And I'd note two things. Number one, statewide, you can look to Boeing. Has Boeing recommitted to Washington, or have they started to divest?
Divest.
It's kind of the opposite of what Sean Scott just said. Mm-hmm. And on the hyperlocal level of Seattle implementing their payroll tax, remind me what happened with Amazon again? Did they double down on Seattle, or did they divest and go to Bellevue?
They went to Bellevue.
Yeah. They took a little bit of it. They got in their canoes, went across Lake Washington.
Well, you don't need a canoe.
But it was more fun. It's Amazon.
Maybe because of WashDOT you do, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want to be stuck in traffic the entire time. And they just went to Bellevue. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen here? It is truly remarkable that they just don't seem to care about the consequences. But you know what? If we keep allowing them to do this, that's what they do.